know you're crazy, but I only wanna be with you. You think I'm shady cause I'm out here trying to make some moves, but it ain't like that. Just know that I'll be right back. I'll give you all my time just to let you know you're mine. It ain't nothing, promise I'ma do it all to give you something. This love I got is only for you. You're my comfort, my future husband. I'ma give you all my heart, yeah, all of it, yeah. Baby, I know that I gotta come fix it. You the only nigga that I be missing. Swear I'm coming home to give you the business. Turn off my phone, it can leave me a message. I'ma just cover your body with kisses, kisses. Rub your body down, you know that I miss it, miss it.
And now, for all those watching on Fight TV and for those here in Omaha, Nebraska, are you ready for war? Introducing first, fighting out of the Twin J blue corner. This freestyle fighter stands 6'3", weighed in 188 pounds. He is a 42 fight veteran, representing Marty's Martial Arts and fighting out of Commerce, Texas, John Hater-Proof Kennedy. His opponent across the cage, fighting out the Nebraska Lottery red corner, is a freestyle fighter standing 6'3", weighed in 195 pounds. He holds a professional record, 4 wins, 2 defeats. Representing Premier Combat Center and fighting out of Omaha, Nebraska, he is Ryan Canalito Leininger. Your referee in charge of the main event, Big Fitz.
Well, see, I know Ryan had done quite a bit of a camp up at Glory for his LFA fight. I think he did most of his camp. Ooh, good calf kick. Most of his camp here at Premier Combat Center.
I tell you what, Glory MMA, as far as in the Midwest here, is becoming a name
on a
to be
roll,
reckoned
man.
with.
On a roll.
Derek Minner going down there to start doing his camps down there with head coach James Krause. Man, and he's really kind of becoming one of the masterminds of MMA as of late.
Especially in the Midwest here. You know, let alone the other guys they've already been bringing up there. A lot of amateurs coming up. See, both kind of tall guys, so, ooh, liking the calf kick. I think it's paying off here. Jose Campos calling for him to mix it up with his hands to go into the calf kick. Oh, it's already paying dividends. Man, you can see those marks on John Kennedy's left calf. It hurts. Oh!
Oh! And I hope he doesn't choose to sit down between rounds if we make it out of this first one.
Oh, man. See if Ryan, he's got to go off to the side, though. Man, that cage is making it tough to pass. He'll be fine here, but with that right arm trapped, it's going to take a little time to get out. Now he's out. The crowd calling for the Von Flue. Very educated crowd tonight. He's not quite getting that arm over. Wants to look more for the elbow. Hey, man, Von Flue chokes just as impressive. Good knee on belly. Watch the roll. Man, let him up, man. His calf is hurting.
And you can see Kennedy's definitely got that experience.
Oh, he's looking for that double ankle sweep, man. He's got to back away, I think. Hip in, that was good. Oh, slept him.
And he caught him just right there, too. Just kind of drops down with this fist here. I think right here is where we see him kind of go out. Right there, he's done. Man, what a great card.
Oh, yeah, man. Keep checking back. Keep checking Fight TV, man. We're going to keep coming, bringing you some of the best of the Midwest out here.
Man, I can't get off of here without promoting myself, man. I'm with MMA Futures. Check us out on social media. Our biggest presence is on YouTube. We post new fights every single day from the Midwest. 10,000 subscribers strong. We'd love to make you one of them, so go give us a sub.
Yeah, man, you're keeping busy this year, aren't you?
Man, we popping. We'll be back in it next week too.
Congrats on the engagement, by the way, too.
Thank you very much, my friends.
First round declaring your winner by knockout, Ryan Canalito Leininger.
Welcome to Happy Hour with Lito. I'm your host. Today, my special guest is none other than middleweight MMA fighter straight out of Nebraska. You know what I mean? Ryan Leininger. What's up with you, bro?
What's up, man? It's Happy Hour with Lito.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you have me. I've got nothing else to do, and anytime I get an opportunity, like I was telling you, to talk about sports, and I'm hopping on that. We're out for 2 weeks, so I got nothing but time for 2 weeks.
Okay. So, first and foremost, bro, like I am an advocate for mental health, you know what I'm saying? Because I lost one of my friends, you know what I'm saying, a couple years ago. He ended up, taking his own life. So I've always been an advocate for mental health and stuff like that, bro. So, first and foremost, I just want to ask you how you're doing today. And then also on top of that, how have you been able to kind of, get yourself through this crazy pandemic that's been going on for the last year and a half?
Well, to answer that, I think not much has changed with, I've been fortunate enough to work in a place that for a while it got a little crazy with the pandemic and they're being on lockdown and stuff. So we went on Zoom for a couple weeks, I think. But after a couple weeks, our owner was just kind of like, you know what, we're going to open up back up, and thought it would be good for people to stay active through the pandemic. So fortunately, I was one of the few people that was able to keep rocking and doing what I'm doing, training full time and coaching on the side. So for me, I've been great. Not much has changed. It did take a little bit of a hit. We had a bunch of people kind of leave the gym and decide to go the Zoom route. So we were doing a lot of our workouts on Zoom. So it was a little different, but for the people that showed up, it was really the same thing teaching. We just kind of had the Zoom call set up on the side for the people that weren't comfortable coming in. And but besides that, not much has changed. I'm in a great spot. Mentally, like you said, mental health is super important, and I think that's just about finding something that you're really passionate about doing every day. For me, money's never been, and I mean, no MMA fighter, in my opinion, will tell you that they're doing it for money, and if they are, they're doing it for the wrong reasons. So
we're gonna get into that too, because that's that's something else that I want to ask you about. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead and continue.
No, it's fine. It's a funny story, actually. When I first started at Premier about 5 years ago, I come in and it was kind of just an outlet for me. I've always been doing sports, football and basketball, but once I went through college and I was like, I don't know what I want to do. This was just kind of an outlet to stay fit, stay active, and I had a bunch of buddies that were doing it. And it's funny because my coach Ryan Jensen and Derek Minner, who's one of my training partners I'm training with, they're like, "You're not doing this for money, are you?" I'm like, I mean, the money will come. Like, I knew nothing about it. And all I know is I just watch all the guys on the UFC, like Conor McGregor, John Jones, all those guys. And they're like, bro, if you're doing this for money, you leave right now and go get a job at Burger King. No offense to anyone who works at Burger King, but they're like, you're going to make more money getting a job anywhere else than trying to make money right off the bat doing something like this. So, and it's true. We bring it up all the time to this day. Like I said, I just fought last weekend or about 10 days ago, and I made the most money I've made. And I won't say exactly how much I made, but I needed to fix my car, and that took up my show and win bonus. So I had to fix up my car, filter, brakes, and a couple other things, an oil change, and
everything.
I just fought for to fix my car. But yeah, I think just finding what you want to do, and that's something that you're passionate about. And it sounds cliche, but it's not about money. If you got something you're motivated to get better at every day, and you enjoy what you do, and like I said, I coach on the side. I feel like it's not even a job. I've been doing that for the last 3 years, but I literally felt like it wasn't a job. And so, yeah, my mental is really good. I'm right where I want to be, and I have it mapped out for the next 3, 4, 5 years or whatever it takes to get to where I can make a living just fighting, and hopefully not having to work on the side and hustle like that. But
so tell us a little bit about, like, you know where you grew up. Where did you grow up in Nebraska? And you know what I'm saying, just a little bit about your story.
Yeah, I grew up in Southwest Iowa. It's like an hour and a half away from here, in a smaller town, Red Oak, Iowa. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, I live in Ohio, so I'm familiar.
Oh yeah, okay. I didn't know if you were from Nebraska, but yeah, it's about a small town, an hour and a half away from here. And not much. All I really did through high school, I kind of just passed through school. Has never really been my thing. I don't hate on anybody who goes to school for what they want to do, just for what I want to do and what I'm passionate about, which is sports and personal development. School has never really been my thing, so I just kind of coasted through, in my opinion, high school, and really was just doing it for the fun of sports and everything around. And so I grew up in Red Oak my whole life, and then after high school, I went to college for a year to Iowa Central, pretty much just for sports. I played football. I didn't get recruited or anything. It was kind of just my coach had a hookup with their coach and was like, yeah, you can come out. And that gave me an excuse to go to college. And I found out after a year of college, I was like, all right, I'm not dedicating myself enough to football or to sports to be able to make a career out of this. And I felt like I was just kind of wasting my time and my money because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So that led me into Premier and training MMA about 5 years ago. After 1 year of college, I came back for the summer. I did 1 year and I was like, all right, I don't want to go back. I don't know what I want to do. So I was like, I had a bunch of buddies and I was watching UFC fights and saw him fight, and I just got really interested in it. And it just took off. Once I came in the gym, it was a wrap. It's a wrap. So
that's what they usually say. That's what they usually say. Like,
the hardest part is getting in the gym, man. And because, and lasting maybe the first, I would say, year, because it's easy to go into an MMA gym, especially when you're like me. I had no wrestling. I'd never even been in a street fight before, prior to training. And so I came in, you come in with an expectation that, because fighting is either something you have or you don't. It's easy to watch guys at the top level in the UFC fight and be like, I can do that. Like, why is he just curling up here? Why is he not hitting him back? Why, it's easy as a bystander to look at it that way. So when you go into an MMA gym, sometimes your expectation isn't exactly how reality is. So if you can get through that first hump of A, getting to the gym, and then B, realizing that just like anyone else who starts, you're not John Jones, right? When you come in the gym, or Conor McGregor, these guys are pro athletes just like any other sports. Years and years and years of repetition, hard work, consistency, and having that sense of urgency. So if you can realize that, I think that's always been on my side. I always had that sense of knowing where I was and where I could be. If I was to look at myself and be like, okay, the fighter I am now is how I'm going to be my whole career, I wouldn't have done this. You have to look further. You have to look ahead.
Right.
So that's the biggest thing.
What discipline right now are you studying?
Discipline, what do you mean?
Like style, like is it everything, or?
Yeah, so I do MMA. I do a little bit of everything, but it's kind of funny. As you go through, I think the way to go is, and this is what I've kind of gone through as I started off just boxing and doing a lot of box fights. I probably had, 5 to 10 boxing fights before my first MMA fight.
Okay.
And it was good to experience competition. That's why a lot of times you see a lot of wrestlers transition into MMA, and they're used to that competitive one-on-one grappling, wrestling. It's a way easier transition to MMA with a wrestling background than anything else. But currently, I'm doing a lot of grappling and wrestling. The last probably 2 years of my training has been grapple based because I had really good hands. I know I made like the national Golden Gloves team for boxing after the first year or two of training. I had a pretty good boxing record. And so I was piecing people up with the hands, but anytime I was getting taken down, even as an amateur with guys who wrestled or guys who were good grapplers, I was like, man, I got to figure out how to
get up off your back.
This and that's why I kind of like the challenge of MMA. That kind of leads me into that is my boxing coach is still a little upset to this day because I am a little bit better. Naturally, I'm a better boxer than wrestler, MMA fighter. And if I wanted to just box, I probably would be a lot further on in my career right now as a boxer. And but I just like the challenge of MMA. I like I'm not going to say boxing gets boring, but there's so much to, like, in MMA, you can never learn enough. You could be doing this for 20 years, be a 4th degree black belt in jiu-jitsu, and some white belt will come around with something you saw on YouTube or on a fight and show you something you've never seen before. There's just so many different avenues through MMA, which is why I kind of fell in love with the MMA side of it the last 2 or 3 years. So I was a little bit better of a boxer, but that's just it. Just the challenge of, my grappling's terrible. My wrestling was terrible. I won't dog on myself too much, but it gave me something to push for, and it gave me that extra challenge that I feel like I need to be passionate about something.
Yeah, martial arts to me, I've always loved martial arts my whole life. When I was a kid, I took Tang Sudo, and I took Kempo karate. And I wish I would have stuck with it because, when I was a kid, UFC wasn't around, not yet. You know what I mean? But I don't even think that I would have wanted to, do anything like that.
Developed so much, and it's the fastest developing sport, man.
Yeah, it is. But I've asked some boxers, would they ever try MMA? And they're like, no.
They say that, but like I said, that's the hardest part. When you get over, like, everyone thinks they're made of glass. I think that's what most people say. Even Ellie, I know I watched your podcast with Ellie, and she talked about it a little bit, saying like MMA is a lot more brutal. It's so much more, but training is a lot different nowadays. A lot smarter training than it used to be. And yeah, of course you're at more risk with leg kicks and submissions and stuff like that. But knock on wood.
Yeah.
People I train with myself, as long as you're training smart, and you're going with the right people, and you're in a place with the correct system, that's in the correct environment. That's huge when it comes to training at an MMA gym. Is what gym are you training at, and what kind of environment is it like? As long as you're smart about it, you're good to go. I mean,
I think a lot of people get afraid of. Like you said, the leg kicks, people they're breaking their own legs. You know what I mean? Yeah, the calf kicks, it's the calf kicks. The calf kicks are the kicks that, if you don't do it right and someone checks it.
Yeah, the calf kicks and then the inside leg kick, because it's a lot easier to turn your leg in and check with that bone. But people got to realize it's easy to see Anderson Silva, who's a big name, and Chris Weidman recently.
Yeah,
it's easy to look at that and be like, "Oh my gosh!" You got to realize that a broken leg like that has happened 3 times in the history of the UFC.
And how crazy was that, though?
Not very likely, and it is crazy. How does it happen to the same guy on both ends?
That's crazy.
2 out of the 3, man. That's like, I feel so bad for him.
He's walking already, though. Chris is.
Yeah, Chris White. I mean, I would love to see him get back in the next couple of years and see how he bounces back from that. But
I was watching all of those fights. I watched all of the, like when I seen him when Anderson Silva broke his leg, he was just throwing. I mean, it was weird because it was like he was just throwing with all his power into his leg. And then Chris said, "Well, just let me go ahead and lift my leg," and he lifted and it just snapped like blow.
Yeah, snap. Yeah, it's crazy how and if you really look at it, it happened in the exact same spot on both of them, like the exact same break. So
that was so. And then he went to step back. Oh,
I know, and then they always pull on it. So it looks brutal. I know what it looks like. It's easy to look at something like that. That's something like that's going to make headlines. People who don't even follow MMA are going to be like, "Oh my God!" But the only thing they see about MMA is Chris Weidman just broke his leg, kicking this guy.
Yeah.
But come on, it's two or three times it's happened. It's just that it catches a lot of attention when it does happen. So, in my opinion, but
that's true.
I was going to ask you, do you have any fights? Do you have any experience in competition in MMA?
Oh no, street. I fought in the street.
Yeah, hey, you'd be
but
surprised, dude.
But no, nothing like that.
There's a lot of guys that come
club fights.
What's that?
Club fights.
Yeah. Hey. Tell you what, there's a lot of people that come in. So I was never in a street fight before I started training. So fighting in general, my first time I went to spar, I was like, holy shit. Like I'd never even seen someone throw a punch at my face before. But I get guys, like I said, I've been coaching the last 3 or 4 years. So I learned a lot I've met so many people that come in and train. And one thing I will say about guys who they always dog on them for it. They're like, I never fought or anything. I've only been in street fights. I'm like, those guys come in and it's like they've been through it already. They've felt that emotion of what it's like to be in a real fight, And it is different. That's close. I think, in my opinion, that relates more. Being in street fights and stuff like that is transitions more to the competition of MMA when you look at like when guys actually fight in the cage, rather than being here. You see guys all the time that are killers in the gym, but when they go and fight on the lights in front of people, it's a different story. It's not a sport, man. It's not. It is a sport, but at the end of the day, when you fight, when you're fighting in MMA, it's a fight. Anything can happen, and you're comfortable. You get to a point where you're comfortable training. You train so much that it's very comfortable sparring. The setting of sparring, where like, okay, neither of us are here to kill each other. We're here to get better. We're here to improve. But when you go under the lights and when you start and you fight, it's different. That's why you see guys. I was one of them for a long time that so comfortable in the gym. I was like, why am I in the gym? I'm this. And then when I fight, I'm like, God, it's just not the same. It's not. So I think the guys that are gamers, we call them the gamers, the guys that in the gym, they might be getting whooped on a little bit, but when it's time to fight and it's under the lights and like they've been there before, sometimes those guys are the biggest gamers. So a lot of times the guys that come in they're like, I just get in fights all the time on the street. This kind of gives them a way to, if you like fighting and you're fighting in the street, like, hey, come do it where it's legal, man. Like, come do it. Like, you can come in and use that aggression or use that, ferocity you have there and do it where you can make money out of it. You're not going to get thrown in jail. So, yeah. I just wanted to ask because, like I said, people come in all the time. If they have some wrestling experience or a bunch of street fights experience, they come in and they're in the gym. Usually it takes a little bit longer on the technique to get them going, but all of a sudden you throw them in a fight and they're going. they fight the same way that they do in the gym. So.
Word. So like you 6-2 right now. What's your goal? Is your goal to kind of get on the Ultimate Fighter, or you know what I'm saying?
My goal is to get to the UFC and obviously be a UFC world champion. And make a career out of this. Mm-hmm. Obviously the fighting career it's not going to last forever, but I know I'm on the right path. And I don't know. I think it'd be fun to get into like commentating after, or Like I said, I've been coaching the last 3 or 4 years. To continue on with coaching and giving people what's been given to me would be real dope. After it's all said and done, I'm done fighting. But the goal is UFC, make as, prize fighting, get in, make as much money as I can, do what I love for as long as I can, and get out and carry on, and then throw down the ladders for everyone else.
Cause I watched one of your fights. It wasn't the last one. I think it was the one before last. I can't remember that guy's name.
John Kennedy.
Was it? What's his nickname? Hater something.
Hater proof.
Yeah, that's what I think.
You get some guys with some funky nicknames, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but,
you made quick work of him. And but yeah, I mean, those type of fights, there's always a promoter lurking. You know what I mean? Dana used to go to fights like that all the time. Just
he
be
has
there watching.
Show, that whenever he's got free time, it's like looking for a fight.
Yeah.
And also with getting the big call, people ask me all the time, what's the step? How do you get to the big show? How do you get your name out there? And a big thing is obviously finishes, getting your win-loss record good, but the big thing is just putting yourself around people who have connections. So
Houston Alexander.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, around here, I've been fortunate enough to be able to train with people who have been in and out of the UFC, and my manager has worked with guys in the UFC. So we feel when it's time, maybe a year from now, maybe 3 years from now, it just kind of depends. But when it's time, I'm able to get my name out there that way through those guys. Hey, we have a guy, check him out. Instead of, it just really helps to have a good manager or a team that has the connection with guys in the UFC. So,
what weight do you walk around at?
Well, when I'm being a lazy bum as I am now, I can get around 205 to 215. But
you like fighting that middleweight?
Yeah, I fought every weight. I fought any weight. I fight 170. I fought 170, 185, 205, and I even fought heavyweight a few times, a few fights ago. But 185 is where I'm going to start making my home. Where, as I start getting into higher level fights, I think I like 185. I can make 170, but I don't like cutting a lot of weight. I don't necessarily believe in. I'm not gonna say I don't believe in it, but
that's a lot of weight to cut, though.
I personally, so when I'm training full time or I'm in fight shape, I'm 195 to 205, somewhere around there. So 185 isn't a big cut. I know I give up a lot of size at 185, but I feel that I have the speed advantage. I move like a lot of guys at 185 can't move. So yeah, I give up some power, but I think that's what I bring to the middleweight division is a different style, a different type of movement. I know I got fast hands, and at 170 you're going to find guys that are so much more explosive and fast and high level wrestlers than the 185 division. I mean, look at the UFC. The top 5 guys at 170 are all Division 1, Division 2 champion wrestlers. The top guy in the 185 never wrestled a lick in his life. If you got good wrestling, he's got good wrestling defense and good footwork and movement. And if you got that going for you, it's at 185. It's guys aren't as quick. It's hard to.
He still gets taken down, though, man.
Yeah,
he still gets taken down.
But hey, work back. I thought for sure. I actually thought that Marvin Vettori was gonna make this an interesting rematch. I thought his wrestling has gotten a little bit better, and we all saw that Jan, even though he gave up a lot of size, or Izzy, as he gave up a lot of size to Jan, I feel like he didn't do any of the right things to try to get up on the ground. I was like, man, when you actually can get him down and get in a position where you can control him, I was like, I don't know. So I actually did put a little bit of money on Vettori. I thought that he would be a little bit more of a problem, and he has good cardio. He's tough, but Izzy just showed out, and with the doubters like me told me to. Man, I love Izzy. Izzy and Conor McGregor are my 2 favorite fighters in the UFC.
I was just about to ask you that. Who do you like to watch?
Yeah, Izzy. Any guy that can go in and what some people might call cocky and maybe it is a little bit of cockiness, mostly confidence, but any kind of guy with that kind of confidence that can put himself out there and say what he wants to do. And there's just an aura about them, like you believe what they're saying. Any guy that goes out there, and you can tell by the way they fight how comfortable they are there, how confident they really are in themselves. It's not all talk.
Right.
You know, you don't get to that level. You don't get to be a UFC world champion talking your way up.
That's true.
At the end of the day, when you're a UFC champion,
Conor talked a lot, but he backed it up in the beginning.
He talked a lot. He backed it up. He's first two-time world champion, and he set the path for everybody. So I've always historically really loved watching the guys that shine under the lights, that say what they're going to do, and then they go and do it. And whether they fall on the sword or not, they like I said, say what they're going to. Look at how Izzy walks out to his fights now in masks.
Yeah.
You know how confident you got to be to walk out at
with that type of mask,
where it takes one hit, it takes one mistake, it takes one bad draw to get knocked out, or to get, there's so many different things that can happen in a fight, and to have the confidence to walk out in a mask, and then all this
dope mask too.
I love it. So yeah, Izzy, McGregor are definitely my top two that I enjoy. And then obviously I love watching greatness, so I always watch Khabib fight. I always watch.
Yeah, Khabib is awesome.
All those guys.
I wish he wouldn't. I wish he would have, fought a little longer, because Khabib is so. I mean, having him, but really, who can beat him? That's in the, that's in the league, in the fight game right now. I mean, I don't know.
I thought a real good matchup for Khabib would be Charles Oliveira, just because he's got sneaky jiu-jitsu, because his jiu-jitsu and his stand-up is so technical, and he goes for it. Like, he goes for the kill every second he's in the fight. I thought Charles Oliveira would be, or someone like Dariush, who is a world champion in jiu-jitsu, and anytime he gets taken down, he's digging under for a leg lock or something.
Yeah, that's true.
In my opinion, that's a guy that's going to give Khabib problems, is someone like Oliveira or Dariush. I don't want to see. Everyone wants to see GSP. Khabib.
Not now.
See that.
Not
but
now.
If anything, yeah, I think that would be interesting. Or I know they won't fight because they have the same manager. But imagine a Khabib and a Kamaru Usman fight.
Yeah. Kamaru is one of my favorite fighters, man. I love Kamaru.
Trouble making 155. Like, he's known to like miss weight a few times, be in the hospital for his weight cuts. I'm sure he would be fine at 170. I would love to see him.
That would be dope. It'd be a wrestling match.
Those top guys at 170.
It'd be a wrestling match for sure. Kamaru, man. I mean, he's changed his whole. When he changed camps, his striking is on another level now,
dude. And he can when you can jab with southpaw and orthodox like that,
and knock somebody down. I've never seen nobody get knocked down from a jab like that.
Yeah, so it's fun watching his development especially over the last few years. You always knew Kamaru Usman's going to grind you out. You always knew he was tough and had the wrestling and the cardio, but man, once he got with Trevor Whitman, it's going to be hard to beat Kamaru Usman. I think a guy like Burns is a rematch with Burns or someone like that who's going to come forward and be aggressive, and Usman's not going to want to take him down because he knows how good his grappling is. It's going to be the scariest fights for him.
Yeah.
But the way he just used his length once he got it going in the second round, throwing his jab out and stopping Gilbert from closing the distance and hitting him with those hard power shots. He keeps that going. It's gonna be tough. Kobe Covington and Kamaru Usman too will be a good fight.
That's next.
So
they said.
I think Usman might make easier work out of him.
Yeah, it might go 2 rounds. I don't know.
So it's amazing to watch. That's why I love MMA, man. It's like MMA math doesn't work. It does. No matter what anybody says, everybody thinks they know for sure what's going to happen, and then at the end of the day, it's a fight, and you don't know what guys are doing. It's like you can watch film on guys, you can have a game plan, but you don't know what they've been working on. You don't know the work they've been putting into. No one knew Kamaru Usman was going to come out and go southpaw and start sticking a jab out and looking like
Right.
like a world champion boxer for a round. So
I mean, when I
this is
seen
why
it,
I love MMA.
but see, I've been following Kamaru since he was with the Black Zillions. So, with Rashad Evans and that camp down there. So I knew, like you said, he was always somebody that was gonna grind you out. He was gonna go in there, take you down, hold you down, but he wasn't knocking people out. But now that guy's scary, man.
He's like, what I want to know. All right, you're going to fight Kamaru Usman. What's the game plan here? All right. This is where we're going to beat him.
Right.
Like, maybe close the distance and try to land that hard shot early, but
you got to be able to take some punishment. That's what it is.
Yeah.
If you can take some of his, if you can take some of his punches, some of those hard, switching to southpaw and getting hit by that jab. I mean, Burns dropped.
Just dropped like a sack of potatoes.
He dropped and looked up at him
3 times with a jab.
Yeah, I mean, that's a different type of power. I've never seen nobody switch to southpaw and then get hit. Boom.
Yeah, what it is, and it's not even a power thing, man. It's just if you go back and watch, it's a lot of people when they jab, they really load it up. When he throws his jab out, there's no load. It's so fast.
Yeah.
He's so what I mean is, people will, when they jab, they'll pull their hand back and go, and they'll tell so people can prepare for it. But he keeps his hand out and he just flicks it out, boom, without a show.
Yeah.
And he does it on both sides, and he's really long with it. And it's a scary thing, man. But I will say too that does lead me on to changing camps. I think it's always good for fighters eventually to change camp. I do, you see the Conor McGregors and the guys like I came up with the same team, same guys that are loyal, and there's a part of me that respects them about that. But at some point, if you're it's like me, I just made the move to Kansas City. Okay, I'm training at Glory MMA full time.
Okay,
with James Krause and Grant Dawson, and that's where I spent my last camp. It's not that I'm not getting better at Premier. That's not the case. And I love my coaches at Premier. I wish I could take them with me up there, but it's just about not being comfortable. I think you got to get out and you got to get with different people and see what you can learn from other people. What it is here, I spent the first 3 or 4 years here, and I've done camps places, but for the most part, most of my training has been at Premier. And I just got super comfortable, I'm not saying there's not guys that are beating me up here and I'm not learning stuff. I'm not growing here, but I was so comfortable in what I'm doing because I've been sparring with the same guys. I've been being coached by the same guys. I just think it's good to put yourself in a position where you're not comfortable. So when you go to another camp or you go with a new coach, they're going to teach you things that you're not as good at, that you're not, it's from their point of view. So I truly believe that. That's why I decided to make the move to Glory MMA. They're a grappling heavy gym. They got a bunch of great grapplers. Greg Hook, James Krause is an amazing coach, and his style fits me well. I believe that's really my style. I want to be able to switch and move around a lot and fit in and do all that stuff. So I think it's good to get out and even if it's just for camp, even if it's for 6 weeks here, you come back for a couple months and venture out and you're doing camps. You don't necessarily got to change camps, but it's good to get out and switch up. I mean, Usman's a great example.
Yeah, for sure.
Coming out jabbing like that, southpaw, orthodox, if he's staying at the Black Zillions. Maybe, but I don't think so.
I think he's going. I think Trevor's going to end up being his. I think Trevor's going to end up being his coach.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm excited to see. And then maybe after a couple of years you're doing that, maybe you go somewhere else and see what you can pick up from someone else. That's all this sport's about, man. Taking as much info as you can, soaking it up like a sponge, and hang on to what you learn, what sticks with you.
Right.
What you can do really well naturally. Take what you can and leave everything else.
Let me ask you this. How you feel about because to me the MMA game is kind of changing a little bit based on, you know, money. Like it seems like, you know, in some promotions we're not going to get the fights that we really want to see because, you know, these guys are looking at Jake Paul and they're seeing all these money that they're making doing these exhibition fights. And you get into, you know, UFC, John Jones wants all this money just to fight Ngannou. I understand, because Ngannou can injure. Ngannou might be he might be able to kill you.
Oh,
with a punch, you know what I mean?
he could kill you.
He
I
might be
mean,
able to kill you with
man.
a punch, but
Yeah.
you know, you know, I did see Dana said, oh, we're moving on past Jones and we're going to do this Ngannou and Derek Lewis fight. And I'm like, man, you know what I mean? But we want to see Jones, but I think Jones is going to fight in Stipe first. That's what I believe. Like if this happens, we're gonna have to do something, some kind of live podcast or something.
Oh,
Watching the fight.
Yeah, I would love it. And to be honest with you, I think he matches up better against Miocic than Ngannou. But
yeah, so you know, do you think it's even possible that promoters can even, because you know these guys, you know, doing exhibitions making millions of dollars, you know what I mean, off of one fight. You know, now you see Tyron Woodley is about to fight. You know, he's talking about his payday is the biggest he's ever had. You know what I mean?
To get the bag, dude.
Right. So
he's getting the bag.
I know he is. I just hope he wins. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But because I feel like he represents you know, when guys come over, you represent a whole community of MMA fans, MMA, you know what I'm saying? The MMA community, period. Like, you know, you're showing that, hey, we can box too. You know, we're not just one-sided. We're just not just kicking. We're not just wrestling. We can do it all too. So, but how do you feel about, do you think the money is going to be an issue going forward? You know what I mean? Like in the future, with some of these fights, because, you know, we might not be able to see certain great fights anymore based off of, you know, fighters wanting more money. So they'll just, since you guys are independent contractors, they'll just sit out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you need to start paying. I'm real heavy on that. I think what it is boxing. There's a certain amount of money that athletes, there's a certain percentage that athletes have to make through the promotion. So let's say I think it's around 50-60%. 50-60% of the revenue in most sports, NFL, NBA, MLB, boxing, all these sports that have been established a lot longer than MMA, which I think has a lot to do with it. MMA is still developing. It hasn't been around as long as some of these other sports. But yeah, I'm a huge advocate, obviously being in MMA as well, that I think I saw a stat that fighters in the UFC were making like 5 to 7% of the company's revenue compared to, because there's no rule with it. In boxing, I got my boxing coach telling me the rule is, doesn't matter what they make on a show or what they make as a company, 50 to 60% legally has to go to the fighters. In the UFC, there is no number. So it's a $4 billion company. The money, I'm fighting my dude fighting next week's fighting for 10 and 10, bro. He's fighting for 10,000 after taxes, and he fought his whole life to get there. The guys on the prelims, the guys that aren't the Conor McGregors or the Izzies that are making maybe $1 million, which still isn't enough. But for what they bring in, I should say, what they bring into the promotion. But the guys, like, let's say 3 fights from now, I'm fighting in the UFC, I'm getting a base pay of 10 and 10. And if I get a knockout of the night bonus, I take $50K. So it's $20K. It's easy to look at that like, oh man, I'll get in the ring for $20K. But you don't realize, what it took to get there. Like, nobody in the UFC, just minus a guy like John Jones, who was 1 in ever, just started training in a couple of years. They're fighting in the UFC. Most guys 10 to 20 years of training, 10 to 20 years of experience to get there, and then we're fighting for 20,000. And then at the end of the day, what are we getting out of that 20,000 for taxes? Take 30%. From 20,000, take another 20%. So that's 50% already. Take another 20% for my coaches, another 10% for my manager, if you have a manager. So you're looking at 50% of that, 60% of that at least and that's not even adding travel expenses. Okay, travel expenses, paying your team, paying for a camp, whatever that costs. You make 20,000 if you win. You're making 20,000. Cut that in half through taxes and paying your coaches, and then whatever you're paying for your camp or paying for food or paying for your trip out there, plane tickets, all that.
Right.
You only get one free plane ticket for yourself. You make 20,000 for a fight. You're walking away with $8,000, $7,000. So I think, and I do think MMA fighters will hopefully start getting paid more. But I think they're just it's hard to make, like everyone says, just, oh my God, go on strike. Oh my gosh, just make a
start a union. Yeah.
Start a union. But the problem is there's always somebody that's willing to fight for $10,000. That's the problem.
That's the problem. Okay. Yep. You're right.
Is, hey, okay, John Jones isn't gonna fight. Hey, let's go grab this guy that would bite off, like chop his leg off to go make 10,000 to go fight in Ngannou.
Yeah,
there's always going to be a guy.
I wouldn't fight Ngannou for 10,000.
I know, and I believe, I think John Jones was asking 10 million.
Yeah.
10 million. I mean, you're fighting. It's in Ngannou and John Jones. First of all, you know how much money? I have no clue, but I know what the company is making from that. $10 million is nothing, like, for what's going to be generated for that fight.
Yeah.
Give them the money. 10 million, but Dana White, he's so smart with what he does. And
yeah, because see, you remember before you were allowed to have your own sponsors. Now they wasn't tripping. Like when they don't do that anymore. Like now you have to wear the Reebok or the Venom. Venom now is what it is. But like it's like when they were able to have their own sponsors, they were making so much more money, back then. And I don't know why they did away with that. But Dana seems to think that, the deal that they have with Monster that the fighters, have, they get a large check from that too. And it may be, I'm sure it's better than it was, but it's still not enough based off of, like you said, you got to pay people in your camp. Yeah, your camp. They don't get nothing. They get absolutely nothing from T-shirts that are sold. I heard about that too. T-shirts that sold, they don't get anything from that.
I mean, even college athletes now are about to get a cut from merch.
Yes, college athletes they're about to get a paycheck from being used in video games. They're about to get a paycheck from any merchandise, all of that.
Dude, if you're in the UFC and you get put on the video game, if you're like, hell yeah, I'm on the video game, you ain't thinking like, oh, I'm gonna get a check from being on a video game. You're like, hell yeah, I'm on the video game.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, I got a free, you go to the UFC fights, I get all this free, sweatshirt and sweatpants and all that. So I'm like, show us the money. Come on.
There's a lawsuit right now. There's a lawsuit right now. I talked to Kung Lee. There's a lawsuit right now that, they used his likeness a few years ago on a UFC game, and he never gave the okay, and he's never been paid. So him, Rampage Jackson, and a bunch of other people right now, they are in court. He talked to me. He talked on my podcast about this. They're in court right now, and they said that they're about to win. So the UFC is about to have to pay out a lot of money for this lawsuit to a lot of fighters that they used their likeness in these games and didn't pay them. I was like, oh, shit.
So how do they react from that? Okay, so this happens, and Dana, does he use that as like, all right, fuck you guys. Like, we're never going to negotiate money now after you just took me to court and tried to ring me of all this. But I know
either that
just sold the company to what was it, Endeavor, or it'll be interesting to see what goes on there. Because I think if another company takes over the UFC and decides like to make that decision to up fighter pay, I think there's no doubt that over time fighters will get paid more and more, as they should.
And I think Scott Coker pays fighters pretty good. I've
that's
heard.
why you see a lot of the best guys in the world that if you're fighting for money, if you're a prize fighter, you don't necessarily need to be in the UFC. I mean, UFC, you're going to get your name out there. That's the big promotion.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get your name out there. But guys, I know guys in Bellator that I train with that are making more than guys that are fighting in the UFC.
That's crazy.
Or CFFC or any of these
PFL.
Yeah, PFL.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they do it. So It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. I do think there's a hope. I do see it getting better for sure, but when, that's the question. When, hopefully by the time I get to the UFC.
Well, I hope to see you in there within the next year, man. Because like I said, I watched the fight, bro. You got it. I mean, it's
I think
all you need is an opportunity.
Couple fights away.
Yeah.
I got 6 wins, 6 finishes is going to look good, and even my 2 losses, one getting caught in a minute and a half, and then the other one getting caught in 10 seconds. So my last fight this last Friday was the first time I've even been out of the first round. So I'm an exciting fighter. I'm always looking for the finish. I think 2 more fights, 2 or 3 more fights max. And I'm going to be looking to get on something like the Contender Series or
listen, bro. When you get on, you just let me know. I'm coming.
Yeah, for sure, dude. We can talk about how your Titans are pissing me off. Hey, first of all, yeah, I did my research. I seen your Titans fan. That's what I'm excited about. But listen, all right, I'm a 49ers fan, okay?
Okay.
We had our rebuild year going on last year, all right? So you don't need to freak out. We'll be back in the Super Bowl this year. But I've seen a lot of rumors that Julio was going to go to the 49ers. Like, they're like, all the commentators on ESPN, like, 49ers make no sense. They have all this money from Jimmy G. They have all this. And then I'm like, yeah, we're going to get Julio. And then I see the Titans get Julio Jones for a 2nd round pick and a 5th round pick.
Hey,
what's going on here? Is that what?
Be mad at Atlanta.
Told me they gave up more than 2 picks, future picks, please, because
Be
that's
mad
all.
At Atlanta. They gave us a pick too.
How, if you're the Falcons, do you give up Julio Jones for a 5th round draft pick and a 2nd round draft pick?
Listen, I understand, and listen, it's because they do legends or guys that are really like, as soon as you turn 30, they think it's over. You know what I mean? Like, oh, these guys are too old now. Like, no, he's only 32.
Right.
He just turned 32.
The top 3 receiver in the league.
Yeah,
he's a top 2 maybe receiver in the league, and then you're gonna pair him up with Derrick Henry and AJ Brown and Ryan Tannehill.
Not to mention Josh Reynolds.
So you're a defensive coordinator. Okay. How are we going to play? What are we going to do? You load the box. You're going deep with A.J. Brown and Julio. You play back. Okay, let's give the ball to Derrick Henry, who's going to send some dude to the shadow realm with a stiff arm, as he's done every game. How do you plan to stop now? You got 2 big, deep threat receivers in A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. Ryan Tannehill, who can run the ball as well. And then Derrick Henry, who we don't need to talk about.
And don't forget Josh Reynolds in the slot. We got him from the Rams. He's 6'3".
Josh Reynolds, I mean, dude, that's some firepower. It'll be fun to watch. I'm not, I'm just hating because I wanted to see my guy go to the 49ers. But the Titans will be fun to watch. You got a lot to be excited about.
I am. For first time in a while. I mean, I was excited last year, when I watched Derrick Henry run that 2,000. He had 2,000 yards last year.
Look at his.
I mean, that's crazy.
I had Derrick Henry on my fantasy and Ryan Tannehill. So
I run my own fantasy league. So yeah, I had Tannehill.
Oh, do you?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta add me on. I'm gonna come in and take. You guys play for money or what? Or
yeah, we play for money. We play for money.
I'm coming in. I'm swooping up all your cash.
You'd have to come here because we have actual, like, I organize a full party. I have a full draft
party and everything.
I'm talking about big boards. What I'm saying? Like, everybody sits in a room and has like all this information in front of them, so they're choosing their pick. You got 2 minutes to choose your pick. I do it big. We get food. I rent out a big space, like a big conference room somewhere, and then we decorate it. It's, bro, I make a spectacle out of it.
You're doing it right. I've done it the last couple of years, and we get a thing. We get like a board, and I usually go to a buddy's house where we got to leave with like 10 guys. And
yeah, me too. Yeah, 10 guys.
A bunch of food, and then for the draft order, we all take a shot of Jaeger, and there's a little number on the bottom of the cup that no one sees. You just mix around. Everyone takes one. Boom. There's your draft order. You get about
That's a good idea.
30 minutes to kind of sit down and see where you are on the order and see how you want to strategize, organize your plan for how you want to draft. And yeah, it's always fun, man. It's a good time. And then it gives you a reason to watch all the team besides the team you like.
That's a good idea. You know what? Because I've just been doing the numbers out of a hat, but I'll start doing them on a putting the numbers at the bottom of the glasses. Yeah.
It's Jaeger because it's dark.
Yeah.
You can't see through the bottom. So yeah, everyone cheers, takes the whole shot. Boom. You look at your number on the bottom. All right, who's won?
Yeah.
In the last 3 years, we've actually my best friend I actually do it in Red Oak, where I grew up in. But yeah, he's gotten the number 1 3 years in a row.
See, I don't want number 1. I like to be
4 or 5 is what I kind of like.
I'm a guy. I like to be around 8 or 9 because because I already know like all the guys that are going to go the first. I feel like coming back around, in the snake, I get a chance to get a big, a big name as opposed to waiting until one comes back around. You're like, oh man, some of my guys might be gone. So you know what I mean. So yeah, that's a good idea, true. Man. That's great
why
idea.
I kind of like the middle. You're always in the middle, back and forth. But it is kind of cool to be close to the front or close to the back because you do get those 2 picks real close to each other. So
we got a belt and everything, bro. We have a championship belt. Yeah.
Yeah, we just made a thing this last year that if you come in last, there's like a t-shirt you order and you got to wear it. I think for the draft the next year, the whole night, it's just fun. There's always little things you can do with it. So I love it. I'm a fan. If you're closer, my girlfriend that is actually from Ohio. She was just out there too. She was just at Cedar Point, but
okay.
So she shoots out there every now and then. But man, that would be fun.
It would. It would,
I'm
man.
taking Julio from you too. I'm taking Ed. I'm taking Derrick Henry. I hope you get right. You pick right after me.
You know what? I messed up because I didn't pick. My first pick last year was, I think it was Julio, but Julio was hurt half the season, so I should have took Cook.
I had Dalvin Cook.
I should have took him, but because he was holding out, I'm like, he might not even play week 1. So I messed up on that, and my dude got him. If I would have had Dalvin Cook, I would have won the season.
Yeah,
point blank.
Yeah, he was straight out balled this last year. I think the year before that, I took Le'Veon for my first pick when he ended up holding out most of the season. I was like,
yeah, I didn't want to see that happen. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what made me not pick Dalvin. I'm like, oh, it'd be another Le'Veon.
That rides us into that. Look at these guys holding out because they're not making enough 20 million or whatever he's getting paid. And
these guys are not broke, man. It's crazy.
I'm not making enough money. And then you got guys in the UFC fighting for 20 grand after they trained 10 years and went
25 and 25. Losses,
yeah. Wins and losses of life. Took, the broken nose, the busted ribs on the way there and put in all that hard work and sacrifice. And then, all right, cool. I made 8 grand and I just paid off my car. Thank you.
Word. Well, bro, this was dope, man. I appreciate you coming on. Anything, last question, bro, anything you want to promote? Let us know when you're fighting again, what's going on.
Yeah, I got to take some time off my this last fight. You wouldn't be able to tell. I mean, my face is immaculate. I'm like Wolverine, but I did end up getting a bunch of stitches in my eye and broke my nose. And then I 10 days ago, and then I actually lacerated my kidney as well, which is a funny story. I got to the hospital, waited about 4 hours to get stitches because I went to the ER and they had a bunch of emergency traumas come through. But I got my stitches in. They're like, you want us to scan your body, scan anything? I'm like, no, I'm good. I think I was like pressing on my face. I'm like, I'm good. I just got some cuts, just my stitches. So I go back, right when I get home at like 5 a.m, I go to take a pee and I piss straight blood. Okay. Like straight blood. It was like so bloody that it was splatting around everywhere. My walls, it looked like a murder scene in my bathroom. And I was like, oh, that's not good. So I get out and like my lower back's starting to get a little bit tight, but I thought it was just, I was like, oh, I'm just being a baby. Well, I'll be good. I'm just gonna drink a bunch of water, and I think I just took a hard body shot. And so the next day, I drank like a gallon of water. My pee starts getting a little bit less red, and I'm like, yeah, I'll be fine. Okay. So then I go support my teammates, which actually fought the next day because it was a 2-night event. I go, and right before the fights, I piss straight blood again. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to go back to the hospital because I don't know what it was, but it ain't good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but no, I gotta go watch my guys first. And everyone's like, no, dude, we gotta take it. No, I'm going to watch the guys first. So after the fights, I go to the doctor. They pee, and the guy comes in after he scans me and everything, and he's like, yeah, dude, you have a grade 3 laceration on your kidney. It's like, which is considered a severe laceration or tear on your kidney. And he's like, the surgery team will be in to talk to you shortly because that could be fatal. Like you could get a blood clot or too much blood in your kidney. And I was like, oh my God, I probably should have went in a little bit earlier. I thought I was just being a baby about everything.
Right.
I was like walking like an old man. So 4 or 5 hours later, it takes them again because they had a bunch of emergency traumas again. They take me up to the ICU to get me hooked up to all these monitors, taking my blood every hour because I was losing a bunch of blood. My hemoglobin went from like 16 to 18, which is normal, to like 10 to 12 range. And they're like, if it gets to like 7 or 8, that's when like we're going in for emergency surgery. So I'm sitting here thinking now, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get my kidney removed or emergency surgery or something. And then it thankfully leveled out around 10 and started slowly going back up. So I just got out of the hospital a few days ago, maybe 4 or 5 days ago. I was in there for like 3 days. And so I'm going to be doing nothing for a couple months. I got to get another checkup here in a week to make sure it's healing right. And my kidneys, I'm good about me. I'm not in pain. I'm not like, my kidney isn't like killing me or anything by any means, but they're like, you can't make sure you're not doing anything besides walking around, especially the next couple of weeks, because any kind of shake and motion is going to open up that tear a little bit more. And so after that, my next checkup on this next Monday, I'm going to shoot back up to Kansas City and at least watch my team, get back with the team up there and start working again. And then hopefully in a month or a couple months, I can get back to training, like heavy train grappling, but it'll probably be a couple months that I'm not going to be able to grapple or anything like that. So I got a bunch of free time. As far as shout outs go, I'm just going to shout out anyone who's going to watch this or has been supporting me. I was telling this to other people, it's not easy to support a guy who I've been fighting. I have 40 to 50 fights in the 4 years that I've been competing. Okay. It's not easy to go out, and there was one point I had 4 fights before this last fight. I fought 4 times in 2 months. I was like, it's not easy to support a guy money wise, and with all the emotions that go into watching someone you love or care about fight. So shout out to everyone who's been following my journey, because it's not cheap to go, but they show up and we pack the house every time when I fight in Omaha. But who knows how many more Omaha shows we're gonna get.
Right.
This might have been one of the last ones. Maybe I fight LFA next fight. Maybe I get that call to the big show and it's done. So yeah, for sure. Everybody, friends, family, sponsors, and anybody who's been in my corner and rocking with me, we're going up. We're taking that next step. So
for sure. And tell everybody how they can reach you. Tell everybody how they can reach you, like your social medias.
Yeah. What is my social media? I don't know. My Instagram is it's Ryan Leininger _. Okay. Which RyanLeininger _ for my Instagram. You look me up on Facebook. I don't do much on social media. I post about my Instagram is pretty much just about my fights. So if you want to follow my fighting career, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. Besides that, I'm not doing the whole Facebook and Snapchat, Twitter. I don't have a Twitter. I'm busy grinding, and I know what I want, and I'm working to get it. So
yes, sir.
Once we get up there, we can start having more fun with these talks and interviews. And I appreciate you having me on. This is the kind of stuff that I want to do, especially when I got all this free time.
For
when I
sure.
got anything training. So anytime, man, it's my pleasure.
For sure. And you say you getting tatted today, right? You getting a
Yeah, I'm getting actually a tattoo of my sister. So
okay.
I got a sleeve. Eventually gonna start working on my other sleeve. I got
I got half sleeve. I want to get it finished. Yeah.
Yeah, that's man, and it's at the part. Do you have the top half or
Yeah.
bottom half?
Yeah, top half.
Top half. Okay, so you've done most of that part. The worst part is probably this little instep here.
Oh yeah, I
right
know.
on the
I don't like
inside of your
this.
arm.
I don't like this.
Yeah, it's a little tender there, but hey,
Yeah.
I thought
Middle
so.
part.
I got that done, and I thought when I started doing what I thought would be the easier parts of my sleeve, it all sucks, man.
Yeah, I know. You're right.
Nothing really sucks worse than the other one when you're doing 4 to 6 hour appointments, getting all that shading done. It's like you're sitting there and you're like, it's kind of, I relate it to the fight, man. You know, you're like, I want to get another tattoo. I love, and then you're sitting there, and after a couple hours, you're like, why am I doing this? Well, I'm never getting another tattoo. And then after it's done, you're like, man, I got to get back in. The same thing with fighting.
Yeah,
it's like, I need a fight. I want to fight. I've been training my ass off, and then you get to the day of the fight, and you're like,
why am I doing this? Yeah.
Why am I putting myself through this? And then right after the fight, win or lose, I'm going again. But
for sure.
So yeah, we got one coming today, and we're gonna keep building. You know, once I start making some real money with some fights, tattoo appointments might come a little bit sooner, far and few between.
For sure. Well, listen, man. Like I said, I want to thank you again for coming on the show. You know what I'm saying, everyone. This is Ryan Leininger. You know what I mean, future middleweight MMA champion. It don't matter if it's Bellator, it don't matter if it's PFL, it don't matter if it's UFC, but you're gonna be calling him a champion.
Maybe all three.
Maybe
I'll be the first ever all three.
Ooh.
That might be something. The Bellator champ. Has anyone done that? Bellator champ? Michael Chandler almost just did.
Michael Chandler almost did. He almost did.
Almost. He might do it. He'll probably do it by the time he's done. But hey, right here, you're looking at the first ever ginger champion. But my boy Paul Felder couldn't do it. He was so close.
Yeah.
Who else? We got the Alpha Ginger. We got Ed Herman, who both got kicked out. Looks like I'm next in the line. I'm going to carry the torch. So,
for
right
sure.
on, man.
For sure. Once again, y'all, this is Happy Hour with Lito. And we are.
Lito.
Yes, sir. We are out.